In every school, there are places students dare not go. In the hallways, among the rows of identical metal lockers, one stands out, not because of its appearance, but because of the stories whispered about it for generations. This is the tale of the cursed locker, a seemingly normal locker that hides a dark and tragic past. Years ago, in the late 1980s, there was a student named Kaido who attended the school. Kaido was a quiet boy, always keeping to himself. He wasn't athletic, nor was he popular. What made him stand out were his strange habits and the way he seemed to always be lost in thought. He was a favorite target for bullies who mocked him for being different. At first, it was just words, but over time, the bullying escalated. One winter afternoon, after most students had left for the day, Kaido's bullies cornered him near the locker room. They pushed him around, laughing cruelly, as they often did. However, that day was different. One of the bullies, frustrated by Kaido's silence, grabbed him and shoved him inside an empty locker. The others laughed, locking the door shut as Kaido's muffled cries echoed from inside. They left him there, thinking they'd return after practice. But something went wrong that day. The bullies never returned to let Kaido out. The locker room was old and poorly maintained, and somehow the door jammed. By the time anyone realized he was missing, it was too late. Kaido had suffocated in the confined space, his cries for help unheard in the empty school. His death was ruled a tragic accident, but the truth was known by the few who had locked him inside. Stricken with guilt, they never confessed, but rumors began to spread, and the story of Kaido's tragic fate became a haunting memory in the school. Over the years, the locker where Kaido had been trapped was emptied and forgotten, left unused. But strange things began to happen. Students who passed by it reported hearing faint, eerie tapping sounds, as if someone was still inside, desperately trying to escape. Others claimed that if you walked by late at night, you could hear soft whispers calling your name or see a shadowy figure standing by the lockers, vanishing when approached. The locker became known as the Cursed Locker. Some students said it was the same locker where Kaido had died, while others believed that his vengeful spirit roamed between different lockers, waiting for the next victim. No one could be sure which locker it was, and over time, students began to avoid the entire row of lockers out of fear. One year, a new student, unaware of the legend, was assigned a locker near the cursed one. His name was Yuki, a transfer student eager to make new friends. On his first day, he placed his books inside the locker, but when he returned after class, everything was gone. Confused, he thought he might have misremembered the locker number. However, as he opened the locker again, he saw something strange, a crumpled note wedged in the corner. The note was old, yellowed with age, and the handwriting was barely legible. It simply read, "Help me." Yuki's heart raced. He asked his classmates if anyone had been playing a prank on him, but their faces turned pale when he described what had happened. They warned him about the cursed locker, telling him the story of Kaido. He laughed it off at first, thinking it was just an urban legend. But over the next few days, strange things began happening. His belongings continued to disappear from his locker, only to reappear in odd places. His books would fall off shelves, pencils would roll off desks without explanation. And then came the nightmares. In his dreams, Yuki found himself trapped inside a dark, cramped space, gasping for air as something unseen scratched at the walls. He would wake up drenched in sweat, the feeling of suffocation lingering long after he opened his eyes. It felt too real, as if he were experiencing the same terror Kaido must have felt. One evening, after staying late to finish an assignment, Yuki walked past the lockers. The school was eerily quiet, the only sound his footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. As he approached his locker, he felt a cold breeze sweep through the corridor, even though the windows were closed. His breath caught in his throat as he heard it, the faintest whisper, like a child's voice calling his name. Against his better judgment, Yuki opened the locker. Inside, there was nothing but darkness. But as he stared into the empty space, he felt something cold brush against his hand. Panicked, he slammed the locker door shut and ran home, not daring to look back. The next day, Yuki asked the school's janitor if he had ever heard about the cursed locker. The old man nodded gravely and told him that students had tried to appease Kaido's spirit over the years by leaving offerings. Some left small charms, others placed flowers or written notes of apology. Yet, the disturbances never fully stopped. The janitor warned Yuki to avoid the locker, saying that once the spirit had latched onto you, it wouldn't let go easily. Desperate to free himself from the haunting, Yuki followed the janitor's advice. He left a small paper crane and a handwritten apology inside the locker. That night, for the first time in days, Yuki slept soundly. The nightmares ceased, and the strange occurrences around him stopped. But the legend of the cursed locker lived on. No one knew for certain if the spirit had truly been appeased or if it was simply waiting for its next victim. Some students believed that once you opened the locker, the spirit would follow you until you made amends, while others said that the spirit of Kaido still roamed the halls, waiting for justice for the wrongs committed against him. Even today, students at the school tell newcomers to avoid the cursed locker. They mark it with talismans, hoping to keep the spirit at bay, and whisper stories of those who ignored the warnings, only to suffer the consequences. And so, the cursed locker remains, silent, watching, waiting,